What's up, guys? Readiness Reviews here with you again, and this is an American Surplus Civilian Marksmanship Program 1911A1. So far, there have been 4 rounds of these handguns from the CMP since they started their lottery program, and my particular example here is actually from round 2 back in 2021. Rumor has it, though, that there may be an incoming round 5 of these iconic service handguns. Sadly, my original Milsurp unboxing of this firearm has been removed from YouTube, but with the prospect of another round of these handguns becoming available, I thought now was the perfect time to revisit the subject. I suppose our first course of business here is to hear from a very excited 2021 Readiness Reviews. I just received this case in from the CMP in Anniston, Alabama. This is truly one of my grail guns, and I'm so happy to finally have one in my collection. Can we start out by admiring this case for just a moment? The CMP is not pulling any punches with this one. Made in the USA. This thing is very high quality and super nice. So let's open this up, pop these hinges. Oh yeah, check that out. This, my friends, is a field grade M1911 A1. My particular example came with a Remington Rand incorporated slide and a Union switch and signal frame. This is one of the CMP field grade pistols, and this thing is gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful. Of course, this pistol has been re-arsenaled probably several times through its life. That's why we have a mix of parts, but who cares? This is a true piece of American military history that I'm now holding in my hand. In that case, the CMP provides 1 magazine. This is a 7-round magazine. Tons of foam. Look how thick this foam is. They provide a lock, a chamber flag, a certificate of authenticity. That's appreciated. And they also put in this very cool maintenance manual. Original date on this was 1964. Of course, this is a reprint, but it has all these cool retro images and tells you pretty much anything you would need to know about the M1911 and keeping it in good working order. The date of production on this particular firearm is 1943, so in World War II, could have possibly seen service in World War II, Korea, and maybe even Vietnam. Let's see how she shoots. From the brilliant mind of John Moses Browning and perfected by Colt came what is probably the most iconic American handgun of the 20th century, the Colt automatic pistol M1911. The original M1911 was adopted by the Army on March 29th, year 1911, following a series of military pistol trials. In these trials, it won out over several other auto-loading pistol designs, including the Savage 1907 and DWM Luger, both chambered in .45 automatic. Prior to the First World War, 1911 pistols were produced by both Colt and Springfield Armory, and at the time the U.S. entered World War I, they had about 55,000 1911s on hand. During the war, Springfield Armory actually halted production of the pistol in favor of producing more 1903 rifles, so the vast majority of World War I 1911 production came from Colt, totaling some 450,000 pistols. Remington UMC had a World War I contract for 150,000 units, but they only managed to produce about 21,000 by December 1918. When the Great War came to an end, the U.S. Cavalry Board began looking at making some changes to the 1911 design. They suggested that the Ordnance Department make several improvements, including shortening and serrating the trigger, increasing the thickness of the front sight, increasing the length of both the hammer spur and grip safety spur to make cocking easier and reduce the chance of slide bite. The mainspring housing was arched and knurling was added to improve grip ergonomics. These finger clearance relief cuts were also added, and the diamonds on the grips of the original 1911 were removed. On June 15, 1926, the updated pistol was adopted and designated the automatic pistol caliber .45 M1911 A1. All 1911 handguns with serial numbers above 700,000 are considered 1911 A1s. With the rumblings of war once again on the rise, the U.S. government began handing out 1911 A1 contracts in late 1939. Of course, Colt was awarded one of those contracts, but they also placed limited educational orders of 500 handguns with both Harrington and Richardson and Singer Manufacturing. Harrington and Richardson failed to deliver their 500 pistols, but Singer did complete their contract. Singer then received a contract for 15,000 units, but then decided not to fulfill that contract because apparently they had more important things to do. The Ithaca Company accepted a large contract for 1911 A1 pistols, and from 1943 to 1945, they produced about 369,000 units. Remington Rand was an A1 powerhouse producing 1,032,000 handguns, and Colt made about 520,000. Union Switch and Signal, a subsidiary of the Westinghouse Airbrake Company, also received a contract for 1911 A1 pistols. That order was for 55,000 units, and those were delivered in 1943. However, US&S did not receive any further contracts because Remington Rand, Ithaca, and Colt were already producing more than enough pistols for the war effort. Final World War II production numbers ended up at some 1,976,000 pistols produced by 1945, and if we combine that figure with the number of pistols produced prior to World War II, we end up with some 2.4 to 2.5 million 1911 pistols produced between World War I and World War II. This outstanding single-action only pistol is chambered in .45 automatic, also known as .45 Colt automatic pistol, or .45 ACP for short. The USGI loading for .45 ACP is a 230 grain projectile, moving around 830 feet per second, giving this pistol substantial knockdown power. It's fed by a 7-round detachable magazine, weighs in just shy of 2.5 pounds, and is a rather large pistol in general, coming in at 8.63 inches overall, and a 5-inch barrel. The 1911 had a pretty ridiculous life in U.S. military service, including World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and it even remained in service until 1985 when finally it was replaced by the 9mm Beretta M9. Now let's get a little more into my specific handgun. As I sort of alluded to earlier, these firearms that you get from the CMP will generally be a mix of parts. There was a very substantial re-arsenaling program post-World War II. This was a very long-serving pistol, and so they went in for updates periodically, and when they took these pistols in to repair them, to fix them back up and to put them back into service, they really didn't care how they assembled the parts. They kind of just took a bunch of pistols apart and then put a bunch of pistols back together. And so the longer a pistol stayed in the system, the more and more mixed match parts they will receive. And that's pretty much what the CMP is getting in at this point, very mixed match, hodgepodge type firearms. But that does not take away from their military provenance. As we can see with this particular one, it has been reparkerized at some point in the past, giving it a very nice look, although not really original. I was fairly surprised that I got a US&S frame. Union Switch and Signal was a company that produced railroad signaling equipment, and just like many other manufacturing companies, when war kicked off, they decided to push their production into firearms. US&S produced the fewest number of 1911s besides Singer, which only produced 500, at 55,000, making this a rather rare 1911 frame to have, and so that's why I was surprised. US&S did not have a single one of their pistols rejected. All 55,000 that they produced were accepted into service. Each US&S frame will have this mark here. Now this one is quite faded due to the re-arsenaling process that this pistol underwent at some point in the past, but that is a circled initials RCD, which were the mark of Lieutenant Colonel Robert C. Downey, who was the inspector assigned to approve or deny these pistols for military service. Let's take this down right quick and have a look at that bore. So here's our barrel. Check that bore out. Absolutely beautiful and shiny, very well defined lands and grooves. Exactly what I want to see. Very happy with that, by the way. Originally, a US&S 1911 A1 would have a barrel produced by High Standard. This barrel does not have any such marking, so it's most likely a later replacement. Overall, the internal condition of this firearm seems to be very nice. There is very slight wear on certain parts, showing that it has been fired since being refinished, but it is looking very clean overall. The CMP, or Civilian Marksmanship Program, has distributed their 1911s on a lottery basis. That means in order to have the opportunity to pick one of these up, your number has to be drawn. As I mentioned earlier, there have been 4 rounds of this lottery so far. Initially, the rules were that you were only ever allowed a single pistol in your lifetime from the CMP, but in this most recent round, they actually allowed people from 1 and 2 to once again submit to the drawing. And that means if we do have a round 5 here in the near future, perhaps people from rounds 3 and 4 will be able to submit their names to the drawing once more as well. Apparently, there is at least another 10,000 of these pistols in CMP inventory. Now, I did get my example from round 2, and in round 2, they had field grade examples and rack grade examples. The field grades were $950 and the rack grades were $850. I think you can tack a couple hundred onto those prices for the most recent rounds they've had. So these things are most certainly not cheap, but are they worth it? Being completely honest, in my opinion, I think you would be hard-pressed to find a firearm more worth it. My CMP 1911A1 may be the very best shooting military surplus handgun in my entire collection. It is an absolute dream to shoot and is a dead ringer on steel every single time. Sure, the sights are lackluster, standard GI sights, but it has been 100% reliable, has an amazing trigger for a service handgun, and it's really hard to put into words how great these pistols feel in hand and how easy it is to put rounds on target. If we look at it from a value perspective, ever since the CMP started offering these, the values have only gone up and up and up on the secondary market. After round 1, I remember seeing these pistols in CMP boxes for double what they cost in the lottery, and the truth of the matter is the 1911A1 is only becoming more and more collectible, and although the examples you're going to get from the CMP might not be 100% correct collector grade models, they are close enough, make really excellent shooters, and I have no doubt that they will continue going up in value as time goes on. So with my US&S frame, maybe I really did win the Milsurp lottery, but I think regardless of what 1911 the CMP sends your way, it'll be worth it in the end. Best of luck should you decide to enter in the lottery, and I want to say a huge thank you to you guys for checking the video out. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the thumbs up to help it out with the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my future military surplus firearm videos. Let me know down in the comments what your opinion of the CMP 1911 is, and if you got one in round 3 or 4, I would be very curious to hear what you got. And that does it for this one. I will catch you guys in the next video. See you then. Peace.